Hey, hey, hey. Hey, everyone. Sorry for being late. It's 2 past 2. Sorry, I was late. Busy as usual. One person. How you doing? How you doing, one person? Not a big turnout. That's fine. I do these things kind of impromptu, strange times. I know people usually watch their streamers late in the evenings. I can't do that. With baby on the tube around, it's harder for me to stream it in the evenings. So now it is. Now it is. I know that a lot of you guys rewatch these afterwards anyway. So for those of you that can't join us live, I am the one, says Stephen Fowlery. How you doing? How you doing, Mr. Tickstrick or Mr. Part of Tickstrick? How are you? Oh, I think my mic is shite. I might be on shite sound. Look how disorganized I am. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hey guys, let me just try and fix this a bit. Did my sound change? Did it not? God damn it. I don't know how to fix the sound. If I even can. Well, it'll be as it is. Perhaps. How am I today? I'm disorganized. I'm disoriented. I was taking a nap. It sounds a little bit deeper than usual. Yeah, that's probably because my sound isn't. I'm not using the same mic. I'm assuming, but I don't know how to change that. Oh well. Microphone. Manage. Can I manage this somehow? Microphone. What about that? Did that change? Did that change the setting? You guys tell me. Did the microphone change? Anyway. Anyway. Thank you guys so much for coming. I haven't watched Lower Decks episode 6. No spoilers, please. Don't worry about it. I won't be spoiling anything regarding Lower Decks. Today, I really did want to talk about Star Trek Day. And yeah, I know that was 2 days ago now. I hope the sound is better. I don't know. I should have fixed this before the stream, but I was awake. I just woke up. So anyway, um, Star Trek Day. That was 2 days ago. It was the 8th September 2020, and a lot of things happened on Star Trek Day. And I wanted to talk a bit about that. So yeah, feel free to share this link out, like the video. It always helps. Uh, it's always great when you hit the like button. You can become a patron on Patreon if you want to help out this channel. And of course, you can send in those super chats. It all helps us get better equipment. Of course, I'm not a professional, so even if I don't get, even if I have a better mic, I might not use it anyway. Um, Star Trek Day 2020. I don't know if there has been anything like this before in the fandom. Now, I say this because I've only been like an online Trekkie for the past, well, essentially since I've created this channel. I wasn't very present online before starting Trek on the Tube. Um, and pre that, I don't think there was that much online, Trek activity anyway, like in the 90s and all of that. So I don't think we've ever had anything quite like this Star Trek Day. I don't know if you guys remember, if you guys were around, and if so, please do tell me. I'm intrigued. But this Star Trek Day that was organized by I don't know who. I don't know if it's Alex Kurtzman or the entire team, or if it's like CBS marketing or Viacom. Someone was like, we got to do this thing. Well, they did it, and Star Trek Day I think was a big success. I think was great. I had a lot of fun rewatching all of the panels between yesterday and today. I didn't see anything live. I was hard at work, either with my real job or working on the Lower Decks episode 5 review. So I didn't actually see any of the panels live. I glimpsed a few seconds of a few chats that were going on because everyone was having their own live discussion and what have you, and that was great. Yeah. So I have notes, but like all of these notes that I want to talk about. Um, Star Trek Day was a lot of fun. George Takei was speaking words of wisdom. He was. I think a lot of them were. It's very nice to know that there are so many wise, so many great people in the Star Trek community, and not just in the fans, but all of these actors. Like many of these actors are very insightful individuals. They're not just people that do this for a job. They understand the importance of the franchise, and I like that. I like that. I do hope the mic is better. I'm sorry, I'm preoccupied by this. Anyway, Mika Burton and Will Wheaton were presenting this whole thing. Mika Burton, daughter of LeVar Burton, uh, Geordie LaForge, and Will Wheaton. We know who Will Wheaton is. Anyway, they were great. They were great hosts. I thought it was all very professional. I feel like I don't know how live these things were. Some of them felt pretty edited. And I don't know if that's just a feeling I got or if they were actually edited, but yeah. Anyway, I'm going to talk about them in order. And once we get to the lower decks panel, we'll probably have a discussion about what we want to address and what we don't. Um, Discovery. Let's get it out of the way. Discovery is not my favorite show, and it wasn't my favorite panel. But anyway, the Discovery panel did start strong. They gave us a trailer. And I won't do a full breakdown of the trailer for season three. I won't talk about every little detail. I'm sure that there are many, many other channels out there that have done so. What did you guys think of the trailer? Have you seen the trailer for Discovery season three? I think it's actually very promising. I really do. I'm very intrigued with the setting of it. That it's taking place in 3188, the year 3188. I found it really interesting. I really liked the ship crashing, and I hope they actually stay on that planet for a while. I hope it does. They don't immediately take off. I want them to do some, I don't know, like some space. I suppose some science fiction space survivalism, and try to like really understand what's going on to them, what's going on around them, where they are, trying to understand the environment. Yeah, what's going on? Receiving text messages. That's what I hope. That's what I want. I want them to spend time on that planet because that's something that's always very much intrigued me. I'm like, what happens if a ship crashes somewhere out far out in space, and you got to build a communicator, try and communicate with the Federation. We've seen the Borg do that. Like the Borg, they crash, they try to communicate with the Hive, with the collective, la di da. But we haven't seen actual Federation citizens or Starfleet officers do that. Hi, Sleepy Craftsman, how you doing? We're talking about the Discovery panel, or I am. Um, I was talking about the trailer. I think the trailer is interesting. I think it's very promising. There's a new logo, and I like it. I know it's just a logo, and I know it doesn't necessarily mean anything. Transformers, when they released their fourth film, changed the logo, and I thought, oh my God, they've got a new cast and they've got like a new logo, and it's all amazing. But Transformers 4 was just as terrible as the others. But I'm thinking that and by the way they described it, Michelle Paradise, Alex Kurtzman during the panel really described. It feels like they're describing a fresh start. It feels like they took the show somewhere they wanted to take the show where their vision is, and so they've decided to change kind of the aesthetics of that. They've changed the logo to suit that aesthetic, and we're going to get a very different kind of season. The new logo looks great. I do think so. I think it looks more adult. I think it looks more mature, and that's kind of how the season feels. If if I'm honest, just looking at it, the story seems more focused. I think we're going to get more character development. We're going to see more of that bridge crew. Some people online have pointed out how Discovery, sadly, even if it got better in season two, it did focus a lot on these kind of peripheral characters. You got Pike and Spock and Number One. Here we don't have them. We're not going to deal with them. We have this new character book. We have these other new characters, which I forgot their names. But like there's new characters, but we are going to be able to focus on Star Trek Discovery characters, not Star Trek the original series characters or Star Trek Strange New Worlds characters. We're talking about Star Trek Discovery characters, and that's great. Other than that, the panel felt very Discovery as usual. I don't have I have a love and appreciation for the actors, um, because I think they're doing a wonderful job. It's just that often in these Discovery things they throw the word canon around a lot for nothing. But yeah, I like the way they were talking about the future of the future and how that's going to feel, how that's going to look. That's interesting. I don't like the actor playing Booker. He was in Supergirl, and he was really cheesy. Gray and Nadira are the names, those are new characters. All right, so I have something to say about this, and I commented on that. All right, I commented, I don't know when, a long time ago. When they cast him, I was like, oh my God, he's like Manchester Black in Supergirl, and Supergirl is super cringe. And basically every character and every actor in Supergirl, they don't do a very good job. But that's not fair to the actors. And I say this in the most respectful way possible. I don't think the actors on Supergirl are bad. I just think it's the aesthetic of the show that demands this. Because the actor who plays Beth in The Walking Dead, and I don't have a name, she was amazing. She was absolutely fantastic. Beth was a fantastic character, and the performance, all of the performances uh, done by the actor was amazing. But when they got her to come on Arrow and be the villain that controlled the bees, it was just terrible. It was just horrible. And she was hacking computers, and it was just absolute cringe. It was terrible. And that's because that's kind of how the Arrowverse is. The Arrowverse is stupid, stupid fun, and you appreciate it for what it is, or you don't. The point is, it's not the same kind of I suppose, performance that we're asking of them. I do feel like Discovery is the Arrowverse show of the Star Trek universe. But yeah, I feel like this. But David Ajala spoke very well. He spoke very well. He was very insightful, and he talked about normalizing diversity, which is something that I don't think people mention enough in Star Trek. Star Trek isn't about promoting diversity. And I know this may sound weird, but Star Trek has never been about promoting diversity and putting diversity uh, at the forefront. It's always about normalizing it and just making it um, no big deal. You know, these characters are gay. Who cares? This character's black. No one notices. You know what I mean? This character is blind. It doesn't matter. That's the whole point of Star Trek. It's making all of these things that are discussions today non-issues in the future. I think that's the strength of Star Trek. And so the way he talked about normalizing diversity, I think was very good. So David Ajala, we'll see what happens. He didn't seem cringe as I watched him like the him himself. So we'll see what his performance is like. He's saying, I like the actor in Night Flies. He was one of the strongest characters there. Night Flies. That's a science fiction Netflix show. Night Flies. I don't. Who played in Night Flies? Are we talking about David Djala? Was he in there? Anyway, Discovery Panel. I don't recognize the people in that show. Okay. Lived only one season. Yeah, that's the Discovery Panel. It is. I tread lightly when it comes to Discovery Panel because Alex Kurtzman and I have, I'm not he isn't the enemy in my mind, like it would seem quite a few people in the fandom treat him, but I know that often he gets blamed or what have you, but I just he's said many things in the past regarding Discovery, regarding how, oh, we're going to fix everything continuity wise. He's said plenty of things about how, oh, everything's going to be explained. Oh, don't worry, we have like on screen or in universe explanations for the look and feel of this and that. And I think that was either not done or done very dismissively in Discovery. It's been done very poorly. Um, and also, every single Discovery trailer, as Robbie puts it, has always looked promising. Season one looked promising, season two looked promising, and now season three looks promising. And it's not the most, like, Discovery has trouble delivering on that, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't want to be, a straight up Discovery hater. It just so happens to be, I think, the show that I would rank the lowest in my preferences, but we all have different preferences. The panel itself, it was good. It was all right. DS9. All right, wait a minute. We've got like a final comment here about Discovery. Valerie says, I'm excited about Michelle Paradise as the showrunner on season 3. She wrote one of the best season 2 episodes. This is the first season written with one showrunner in charge of the entire season. Yeah, well, that reflects the sentiment that I got from the trailer, how the season seems more focused. Like it really, like this trailer that they've given us, it feels like they have a more singular and kind of directed vision, right? And maybe they're going to be able to pull that off. Setting it in the far future can be a great asset and a good thing for the show. I hope they don't screw it up because it could potentially hurt them. But then, yeah, anyway. I don't like the things of like, I don't like how they say seasons 1 and 2 were set in the midst of so much canon. That doesn't mean anything. But yeah. Okay. We can circle back to anything. If you guys have comments about them, we can circle back. Deep Space Nine. The Deep Space Nine panel was very emotional. And I feel like every time I watch something Deep Space Nine related now, I get very emotional. I watched when I saw the documentary What We Left Behind, I got very emotional, especially with Aaron Eisenberg and him talking about the importance of the role that he played, the character. Yeah, so yeah, I got very emotional watching the Deep Space Nine panel. Armin Shimmerman and Nana Visitor were talking about how the show was found by the fandom or found by new fans so many years later. And kind of now it's being recognized as being the best Star Trek show. It's not my favorite Star Trek show. I don't know if it's the best. Perhaps. I mean, everyone says it. It's not my favorite. Wife on the Tube loves it. It's her favorite. But yeah, they were very proud about today. They're very proud about how well this show has aged and how well it's kind of living up to the expectations that a Star Trek show has to live up to. And it was nice. It was cute seeing that. They talked a bit about the importance of the LGBT community and that representation, as well as the Black struggle, and they mentioned Far Beyond the Stars. Far Beyond the Stars is a great episode. It's a great episode of Deep Space Nine. Sometimes I feel like it was a bit of a strange way of going about it, because in universe I have trouble kind of reconciling how it works. Like, is it? But that it's a detail. It's just at the end, I don't know if I don't know. People talk about Enterprise like, oh, was Enterprise, you know, a holoprogram all along? It's like, no, it wasn't. Clearly not. But this episode, you could say the same thing. You could say, oh, was Deep Space Nine just the imaginings of a writer, I suppose, all along. And so that puzzles me. I don't like it when it walks that line too much. But the episode itself was great. And yeah, they talked about that kind of struggle. Nana Visitor talked about Kira and the importance of that character, the character that goes from being obnoxious and troubled and defensive, morally and ethically puzzling to the viewer, and becomes one of the strongest presences and one of the strongest characters and has one of the most beautiful arcs in all of Star Trek. So that was great hearing Nana Visitor's thoughts on that. Father says 25 years ago, people told me I was dumb. I was a dumb kid for liking Deep Space Nine more than the original series Next Generation. Now it's a common sentiment in the fandom. And then the Sleepy Craftsman says Deep Space Nine has always been my favorite series. Well, there you go. Yeah, Deep Space Nine is very, 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 very appreciated and very loved today. And it's great. It's great. It's awesome. What else have my notes say? Oh yes, they have this whole conversation about representing the other, what they call the other. So Armin Shimmerman talks about his portrayal of the Ferengi and how the Ferengi represents the other, because in our society there is always someone that is the other, um, an immigrant, someone that doesn't have the same ethnicity or sexual orientation, same gender, etc., etc. And so Armin Shimmerman was able to and was very proud of being able to play a Ferengi, which represented the other. I suppose um, in comparison or adjacent to Starfleet and the Federation and what humans and Vulcans and everyone, all these people in the Federation have come to like be. And they have a certain way of thinking and they have a certain set of ideals. And so the Ferengi are very different. In that respect, they have a very different culture. And he was very happy about the writers because everyone's talking to Ira, and they were also mentioning the other writers and the other producers on the show, and how they gave all of these characters so much to work with. They gave all of these actors so much to work with. It was great. And then, of course, they had final words about Rene Aubergenois and Aaron Eisenberg, who sadly passed away recently. So I didn't know Nana Visitor was like in contact with Aubergenois, and how he was actually sick for a long time. It came as a true shock, true surprise to me. And then, of course, Aaron Eisenberg was, you know, that was a surprise as well. Yeah, they talked about that. It was all very emotional. Um, you can feel that they're all very good friends and they stayed very close. Um, and it was a tremendous loss for them to lose people from their show so early. Multiple of them too. Anyway, the Deep Space Nine panel, Deep Space Nine panel was good. I liked it. All of these panels were great. It was all very professional. It was all very close to the fans. I found it was a nice way of, you know, I've never been to anything like Star Trek Las Vegas. So I've never been able to interact with fans or any Star Trek alum like that. So it's nice to be able to get this thing, even if I see them a day late. Uh, Strange New Worlds. The next panel was Strange New Worlds, and generally speaking, I have a really good feeling for this show. I don't know what you guys think, but so there's this funny story about Akiva Goldsman. Well, about how Akiva Goldsman thought that Star Trek Discovery, originally called Star Trek 2017, before even I started the channel. When I started the channel, I think we were still calling it Star Trek Discovery. No, I think my first video talking about Discovery, I called it Discovery, but just before that, just prior to that, it was still being called Star Trek 2017. And so when he came on board the show, he thought it was going to be a Pike show. Lol. He was mistaken. Someone told me that Akiva Goldsman and Alex Kurtzman had like a falling out of some kind. I don't know about that, but maybe that's rumors. Anyway, he says, and I quote, well, maybe I quote, I can't remember, but They talked about a modern and sophisticated style. Uh, they're giving that style to the classic episodic storytelling, and I like that idea. That's, I think, the best way of doing it. It's like a subtle blend of the episodic nature of Star Trek, or how Star Trek can be, blended and mixed with I suppose, the emotional complexity that comes with serialized storytelling. Star Trek forever. Indeed. Star Trek forever. Star Trek's not going away anymore. Like, there could have been maybe a time where maybe it could have been rebooted or something. I don't think so. Star Trek's just gonna live on now. I think it's hard to fail it now. Anyway, a modern and sophisticated style to the classic episodic storytelling. I like that idea. Um, they mentioned that there's one plot point that's going to be threaded throughout the entire show, and I don't think they're just talking about the Pike incident. I think I think maybe they have like maybe they'll have something that'll thread through like the season, and that'll culminate in a couple of final episodes or something like that. I hope it's no space battles. I hope we're just gonna, but they really are talking about episode of the week, alien of the week kind of stuff, and I really appreciated the writers and producers that were there, because I don't know who they are. These people, I don't even have their names. But well, there's Akiva Goldsman, but then the three other people, um, one producer, two writers, or something. I don't know who they are. Hey, Jeremy, how you doing? But I did like the way they were kind of talking about the show, and the way they were talking about Star Trek, because it really does feel like these people enjoy and I'm not saying the serialized Star Trek is not the way to go. Serialized Star Trek uh, can work. I'm doing fine, Jeremy. I'm talking about Strange New Worlds, the panel at the moment. Um, I'm just saying that a lot of us have come to appreciate the episodic nature of Star Trek, and I think that it's a format that suits the franchise very well, because it enables you to tell a story and then kind of move on, and then you can open your mind up to telling another story and then move on. And if maybe one of those stories fails, then you're not bogged down with it. You don't have to drag it along for an entire season. It's like you can kind of move away and do different stories, and then of course you can serialize aspects of your show by returning to certain plot lines and certain characters. And I really do think that's what they're going for here. Um, Pike doesn't die. That is one of my big takeaways from this. Pike doesn't die. He never learns that he dies. And in a recent panel, Alex Kurtzman talked about Pike's fate as if it were death, and here Anson Mount did the same thing. Um, Maybe they're just confusing things or saying the wrong words, it's coming out wrong. But like they talk about how Pike learns of his death, or learns how he dies, and that's going to inform Anson Mount's performance, or that's going to inform Pike's career as a Starfleet officer, or the decisions that he has to make. He never dies. He has a horrific accident that doesn't kill him. Um, yeah. So I trust people know that. Like, I'm sure people know that. People writing the show. I'm sure they know that Pike doesn't die. Because proof of that is the actual episodes in Star Trek Discovery season 2, like the Vina and the planet and everything. Strange New Worlds sounds like a good combination. Episodic, but it will have a background arc, and episodes that will affect each other. Yeah, that's it. Well, that's it. That's basically what Deep Space Nine accomplished. That's what The Mandalorian has been accomplishing recently. It's what many shows have started to do nowadays. You have these emotional arcs that kind of hold the characters together, and you give room for, like, you don't do what everyone calls the reset, because everyone in TNG, well, everyone talking about TNG always talks about how it all resets um, at the end of each episode. Everything has to go back to how it was. But here you don't have to do that. Here you can still have room for the characters to grow. I don't necessarily feel like there was a hard reset in the original series of the Next Generation, but maybe that's just me not seeing it. Um, Akiva Goldsman seems like a very interesting guy. I'd like to sit down and have some conversations with him. He's very, I don't know, I don't know how to put it. He seems intriguing to me. I was very interested by Akiva Goldsman, and I'm fascinated by what kind of a vision he's going to bring to this new show, this Strange New Worlds show. And of course, the cast, the three main cast members, they're absolutely fantastic people. Um, all of them are watching Star Trek. You know, they're going back, they're watching this, they're watching that. Ethan Peck, yo, he's doing homework. He's reading about philosophy. He's watching episodes of Star Trek and kind of learning about how Leonard Nimoy did his Spock. And I just cannot wait to see. I cannot wait to see Spock, like Spock. It was very interesting from a story standpoint to see the Discovery Spock, bearded Spock, and what have you. But yeah, I just can't wait. I can't wait to see what he's going to be able to give us and deliver as Leonard Nimoy Spock, because Ethan Peck seems like the kind of person that I think he's humble enough to not want to own the role. I feel like he's going to want to. I mean, every actor, of course, is going to bring their own flavor, whether they want it or not. I mean, the goal is not to do a literal imitation of who came before. But I feel like he's going to bring enough of the flavor of Leonard Nimoy to kind of make us feel like we're at home watching this Spock. And so I really like that. Them getting teary-eyed on the panel was really moving. Are you talking about the Deep Space Nine panel? Oh no, you're talking about the end. Yes, that's right, the end of the Strange New Worlds panel, because one of those writers was talking about how proud he was to be able to write Star Trek. Um, that's right. He was getting choked up because it was very moving. Um, you can feel that these guys are like these people are fans. You know, Star Trek's important to them, and what you call I don't know what they called. I'll know their names when the show starts coming out and we start learning more about these people. I'll know their names. But one of them, one of the writers, I think she was a writer. She talked about the importance of Uhura in her life, but then she also talked about the importance of Cisco. And that may seem like nothing, but Star Trek fans go out of their way to mention Cisco. They go out of their way to mention Janeway. Um, People that have seen Star Trek will talk about Uhura, but they won't go out of their way to mention, oh, this character or this character from other shows, right? So yeah, Strange New Worlds. Again, it was a good panel, and I have a really good feeling about the show. I'm happy. Uh, I'm excited, and I think that the three actors that they have, Rebecca Romaine, Ethan Peck, and Anson Mount, extremely talented people. Um, Very kind, and they have chemistry. Like it works. The dynamic works. So even I'm sure they're gonna add in other people and have like a full crew dynamic, but the three, like the trio thing, I think, and it's gonna be fun. I would have much preferred the episodic Star Trek to take place in Picard time, but hey, I'm fine with having episodic Star Trek anytime. Like just episodic Star Trek with three people main character dynamic. I like that. The trio. All right. The original series. The original series panel. Hmm. Okay, the original series panel was good. It was great. I'd heard some of the stories before, I think, from George Takei. It was a bit sad. I It was a bit sad that there's only two people. Like there was Rod Roddenberry, and George Takei. And no shade to Rod Roddenberry, but I kind of felt like he was there just so George Takei wasn't alone. Um, because of course George did most of the talking, and that's probably just Rod letting George, he's the star. So, but yeah, I would have maybe Walter Koenig could have come on. Um, I know that Nichelle Nicholas is no longer available for this kind of thing. Is everyone mad at Shatner? This is a genuine question. I don't is Are people angry at Shatner, or is the Star Trek community kind of casting him aside or something? Was he too controversial? Or does he not get along well with George Takei? So they can't have them both on a panel together? Yeah. I feel like Shatner pissed everyone off on Twitter. Well, yeah, everyone's angry at him. Yeah, he's I don't know. He's a bit of a yeah, he's a bit of a strange guy at the moment, I suppose, Shatner. But he's not. I don't know. He didn't even get a logo. He didn't even get a little Twitter logo on the Twitters. They gave it to Spock, which I understand. Spock was like the most, I suppose, iconic character from the original series. But they could have given the little Kirk logo to the animated series. Star Trek TAS, because the animated series got no logo. So give it to Shatner. But anyway, Valerie says Shatner does not get along with most people. He's even been an asshole to me in person. Oh dear goodness. I don't care, to be honest. He still deserves to be on. Yeah, yeah. Well, we're not going to get into this whole thing about we're not the ones here, you guys and me. We're not going to resolve this whole Shatner situation. I just feel like sometimes, like the more I see Star Trek happen, because Star Trek is at least in my view, in my kind of peripheral view, is getting bigger and bigger. There's more energy, more people talking about it online, more conversations, more and more content creators and fan creators, and I see Shatner nowhere in there. And then we get these promotional pictures about Star Trek and Kirk's tiny in the back, and you kind of feel like he was just put there because they needed to put him there because he was the first captain. But yeah, probably didn't offer Shatner enough dollars. I don't think these people get paid to do these panels. Do you reckon they get paid to come on these panels? I don't think so. Maybe I'm too naive. Maybe everyone gets a check for coming on. I don't think so, though. Let's move on. George Takei talked about running, and I had no idea about this. He talked about how when in his youth, he enjoyed running, and he enjoyed running when he was happy, he enjoyed running when he was stressed out, because it was a way of him to kind of like decompress, and it was a way of him to like express his emotions. And so it was very important to him to be on Star Trek. And he talked with Gene Roddenberry, and he was talking about how all of that experience was very stressful for him. So he ran, and when he finally got the call, that he was going to be on Star Trek, this new show, and he was going to further Asian representation in American media, he ran as well. He started running again because he was so happy. It was a fun little story. And then he talked about the sword, which I had already heard. Will Wheaton hadn't heard that story, which astonishes me. But I had heard the story about George Takei not wanting a samurai sword. He wanted a fencing sword, and so he went lessons and all of that. Um, Will Wheaton was having the time of his life. He was just loving it. He was taking it all in. He was having so much fun. It was great, and it was heartwarming to see, because this is genuine fun that these guys are having, right? SC, Ilko. Yes, they get paid some more than others, of course. Okay, well that takes away from it. Well, I guess they're taking time out of their lives. So I guess, was the Discovery trailer at least interesting to you? And the chat has been bipolar with his response to Cosmic Tracks. Yeah, okay. Yes, the Discovery trailer was, at least, as you say, interesting to me. SC, it was. I mean, I'm very intrigued by season 3. Uh, you can go back and check out my thoughts. I'm not going to bore people again with it, but yeah, for an official gig like this from the CBS, these actors probably getting paid. Agents would not let him do it for free. Okay, fair enough. People getting paid, yo. No problem with that. Got to get that moolah. Yeah, Will Wheaton was having the time of his life. So George Takei also talked about LGBT rights, and I think we all know at this point that he had addressed the LGBT situation, like the representation situation. That he, I don't think that he told Gene Roddenberry that he was gay, or maybe Gene knew. I don't know how that went down, but he did address gay representation, and the story goes that Gene Roddenberry was like, I can't do that because I need to keep the show running. Sadly, disappointingly, at the time, had they put like a gay character on the show, maybe they would have been canceled, or states would have refused to air the show. It was a whole thing back then. I I mean, we're still not there yet, I suppose, today, but yeah. And then, of course, George Takei talked about the concentration camps, uh, which is something that I feel like has been old news for years, but I'm only hearing about this in recent months. George Takei put out a book about it, and I've been watching The Terror, um, the TV show, and now George Takei has been talking about that online, and so I'm learning about what did I miss? Starfleet boy, you missed it all. Come on, we're 40 minutes in, boy. Um, so I didn't know about these uh, concentration camps that were in the U.S. And then wife on the tube watches a channel where like kids meet people. They meet people, and one of them met someone that went to one of these concentration camps, and they were all, you know, these children. They're just bewildered, baffled by how people could do this to other people. Because children, they don't do these things. Like, they don't understand why these things happen. Though, to be fair, I don't think anyone understands why these U.S. concentration camps happened. Anyway, The Terror deals with it. If you guys aren't into reading, you guys can go watch The Terror Season 2, because The Terror Season 2 deals with the Second World War and Japanese immigrants and Japanese American citizens. It's great. George Takei, isn't it? He's really, really good. I have no problem understanding the most far-fetched of accents, like the old school accents, like from Wales, or from any of like the UK up there. But goddamn, season 2 of The Terror, I activated those subtitles because all of these actors are taking on these really, really thick, kind of first generation Japanese immigrant accents in the US. And I know they're forcing these accents. And so what they're doing is they're using like intonations and kind of like voice, like in sound inflections, I guess, from the Japanese language, and using that in like the English sentences. And then half the things they say are straight up Japanese anyway. So I had my subtitles activated for that show. But yeah. Okay, what's going on? What's going on in the chat? Season 3 of Discovery looks so good to me. My biggest complaint of Discovery prequel and it being completely serialized. In my opinion, Jumping to the Future solves the prequel plot for me. I guess it does. I guess it does. We'll see how that goes. All right, you guys will switch to my Star Trek. All right. Star Trek pour les nuls. Oh my goodness. Hey, ça va bien? God damn it. Si je me mets à parler français, ils vont rien comprendre. En plus, apparemment, maintenant, j'ai un accent québécois. Dis-moi, est-ce que j'ai un accent québécois? Huh? Anyway, sorry guys. I've now been living in Quebec for a while, and so my French accent. I can't speak French too much because then I'm gonna turn on Starfleet Boy, but he can't be turned on right now. He's at work. He has to stay professional. He can't have no sexy stuff. All right. J'ai un accent très étrange. Anyway, the original series panel was a bit sad because there was only 2 people on it, and Rod Roddenberry didn't have much to say. Um, but yeah, it was what it was, and George Takei is always a very charming person, and all of these people are very enlightened. I like listening to. I'm sorry to say this. I like listening to old people. I like listening to my grandfathers talk about just basically anything. When they talk about their lives, I find it interesting because their lives were just, it's like alien to me. That their entire existence was completely different to what ours is today. And I suppose everything that we do, this whole live stream concept is alien to them. So I like listening to old people talk. So I could just sit down and listen to George Takei speak for hours about just anything. Um, of course, in this instance, he was talking about some heartbreaking things. But yeah. All right, Voyager. Let's talk a bit about the Voyager panel. Now, I got a sense of family when I watched Voyager as a kid. Um, I related to the show so much because I had a true sense of family. There was like a sense of family and unity going on in the show, and I really felt that continuing on in this conversation. Like they mention it, how all of them they keep in touch with each other. They're constantly sending text messages to each other. They call each other. They talk. It was great. It was great seeing that they're good friends and they all get along so well. Y'all are having conversations. I'm trying to just check out. Oh my, says SC. Oh my. Um, you guys are having conversations with Starfleet Boy. By the way, while you're here, am I on shit sound? You're the only person that knows how to decipher this. You're the person that figures it out. Am I on shit sound today? I tried to fix the mic because I came in. Yes, you are. I'm sorry, guys. I'm on shit sound. I tried to fix it, but I can't. Anyway, that's me. I can't see this YouTube thing. I'm not allowed to. I can't do any fixing of this. Anyway, whatever. I did my best, people. It's not the worst. Don't sweat it. Okay, it's not the worst sound. I have like 3 levels of sound, so I might be on mid sound at the moment. Anyway, I woke up and I was like disoriented. I was like, I gotta do this live. Anyway, it was the 25 year. It is the 25-year anniversary of Star Trek Voyager. So they talked a bit about that. They talked about how time flies, and how most of them feel like it was just yesterday that they were doing the show. Lavar dropped by. He said nothing. He just said hi because it was happening at his place. You know, he directed a lot of Star Trek Voyager episodes. I love how this happens. You got Next Generation, and then a lot of them go and direct some of this Voyager cast, Voyager episodes, and then Voyager happens, and then a lot of them go and direct Enterprise. I like that. That's fun. Kate Mulgrew talked about the challenges of being Janeway in the beginning, and how she couldn't nail the how it was difficult to nail the technobabble, and how it was difficult to manage like the hours and all of that. And it's so interesting. Robert Picardo talking about the Doctor, Tom and Kim talking about how their relationship as people, as individuals, as actors, kind of influenced their relationship on the show. It's great hearing all of these stories. I really like them. They're really nice. I don't have time to listen to the I'm the Tom and Kim podcast. I don't have time to listen to the Garrett and Robbie podcast, but they're great. And Tim Russ. I liked Tim Russ talking about how he wanted to be a Vulcan that reflected um, how Vulcans really were. And he talked about going back and watching all of the other Vulcans that had been portrayed in the franchise, and how he did a Spock, but took it up a notch and went full Vulcan because Spock was only half Vulcan. And I'll tell you what, Tim Ross, if you ever see this, I congratulate you, sir, because you are hands down the best Vulcan. Tuvok is the best Vulcan that Star Trek has ever given us. He is the only one that knows how to Vulcan correctly. Congratulations, Tim Russ. Truly. Um, yeah, I mean, T'Pol was T'Pol. Spock was half anyway. But a lot of these other Vulcans that we got on Enterprise, a lot of these other Vulcans, they're always struggling with their emotions and this and that and what have you. But Tuvok was, he was damn good Vulcan, so that was great. I loved the panel. It was really nice. It wasn't the longest panel. The longest panel. I forget what the longest panel was. Oh, there we go. You're talking spoilers. You're talking spoilers, boy. Um, yeah, it was a great panel, and so Kate Mulgrew is very proud. I think now, like the sense that I get is she's very proud about everything that she did. I suppose for female representation, in that she was the first female captain, and yeah, it's great. People were expecting a a Star Trek Janeway spinoff. There was chatter on that. I wasn't expecting that, but I would love to see that. I would love to see a Star Trek Janeway. I don't know if Janeway is popular enough a character, um, but if they do actually do a Seven of Nine spinoff uh, somehow and do like a Fenris Rangers show that bridges the gap between this is the show that they need to do. They need to do a Seven of Nine spinoff, which is called like Star Trek Rangers or something. And it's the Fenris Rangers, and it bridges the gap between Voyager and Picard, and it's how Seven became a Fenris Ranger. It's how Seven kind of stops talking to Chakotay. It's how anyway, anyway. Check on the. Do you just want all the Voyager cast to hug you and tuck you into bed with a warm blanket? I do. I would. I would appreciate that. I don't want Neelix to cook anything. And I feel like getting hugged by Neelix might be, I don't know, it might tickle me. I'm a bit ticklish. I wouldn't want all those whiskers all on my face. But that's the character. The cast is fine. Everyone's fantastic. They can all come and hug me goodnight. Um, anyway, Enterprise. Let's move on to Enterprise. Enterprise was a bit of a bittersweet panel. I usually only do these for like an hour, so let's try and we're nearly at the end. Enterprise was a bit of a bittersweet panel because the show was cancelled, and the show didn't really have time to get really good. Scott Bakula talked about how the show, in his opinion, really started taking off from like half of season two. I disagree. I think the show really took off in season four. Most people, I think, would argue that it took off in season three. I think it took off in season four. I think season four is where it should have started. But yeah, $200 to get a photo of Jonathan Frakes. Yeah, I mean that's what it is. Anyway, so yeah, but it was a bit bittersweet. But I didn't know Scott Bakula got there was praise coming out the wazoo from everyone just for Scott Bakula, talking about how fantastic he was. He shakes hands with everyone at the end of each day on set. It's like, wow, that's amazing. Dude is so cool. I love how these actors that are captains on these shows, they're like captains of their castmates in real life. They take on that role to heart and they lead them. It's really great. Connor Trenier had this fun joke because they talked a bit about the Mirror universe, and Trenier mentioned that he did a joke pirate version of Trip for the Mirror Universe episode in that first take, and they were like, "Cut, good, it's a wrap, we got it." And then he had to do that for the following 3 weeks. Like for the following shooting of said episode, he had to continue on. He had to continue on doing the being the pirate. Starfleet Boy says, "Everyone here, don't forget to smash that like button." Uh, yes, you're very kind. Everyone, smash that like button. I'm not one of those. I don't do that. I say it. I mention it in the beginning and then I mention it in the end. But I don't do like constant. Hey dudes, hey, welcome back to Trek on the Team, yo. I'm not one of those epic YouTubers. Hit the like button. I mean, yeah. Anyway, uh, they did talk about terrorism because Star Trek Enterprise came out in 2001. So of course something happened in 2001 in the U.S. So they talked about dealing with terrorism and creating stories that dealt with that kind of issue. And yeah, it's like every Star Trek kind of has its own little theme. Um, and you could war and religion, very much Deep Space Nine. Terrorism is very much dealt with in Enterprise. I'm gonna hit you with some controversy. I'm gonna say it. I didn't know if I was gonna say it. It's in my notes, but it's in parentheses. I didn't know if I should say it. I'm gonna say it. Linda Park deserves more respect. She was interrupted and cut off, and I don't know if I read too much into her expression, but I felt like she was kind of like, ugh, y'all didn't let me speak. She was saying interesting things, and I'm sure it wasn't done on purpose. I'm sure there's no shade. I think it was John Billingsley that cut her off, and I don't think he did it on purpose to like actually cut her off. I think he just sometimes I do this all the time. I do this all the time. Starfleet boy, he'll be saying something, and then it something pops into my brain, so I say something, and then we go off on a tangent, and so I've technically interrupted. But I feel like Linda Park had there's like a whole entire segment that I wanted to hear her talk about that she just got cut off, and then she just sat there for a while, and I was like, "Yo, my girl Linda needs to speak." So anyway, bring her back, give her a panel, sit like Will Wheaton and Mika Burton down just with her, just with Linda Park, and have her speak. So yeah, and Anthony Montgomery, uh, um, very much like I was talking about David Ajala in the beginning, talked about the human race. And so this goes back to like the normalizing diversity aspect of it. These guys are talking complete sense to me. They're not talking about promoting um, this aspect of society or this ethnic group, whatever. They talk about like Star Trek unites people that like the whole human race together, and I like that. I like that idea. And then of course John Billingsley actually asked a very interesting question: what do you do? What do you do in the world? What do I do? What do we all do in the world? Do we live the Star Trek ideals, or do we just talk about them? And yeah, and it's it's you sit there kind of wondering, what do I do? And you think about it, and maybe we don't do enough. Maybe we want to live this Star Trek utopia, but we need to work harder at making it happen. So I not everyone has the courage or the time or like I suppose the funds or anything to be like complete activists all the time. But yeah, what is that red light at the bottom? It's my mic, yo, yo, my mic that's probably not active. It's on, but this is not the one that's being used. I'm assuming. I think. Where's my settings? I'm not gonna start doing this again. Anyway. It's really not nice. And then the park didn't have the best character, unfortunately. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. I don't want to start a whole thing where everyone's like, "Oh, everyone hates Linda Park." I don't think that's true. I think they all love each other. They seem to get along very well. It's just that I at one point I felt like she was cut off, and I was maybe it's just because I was interested in what she was going to say, and she didn't say it. So yeah, but yeah, like Linda Park and Anthony Montgomery didn't. Um, to be fair, I think they weren't the strongest actors on the show, and that might just come down to the fact that they were younger, and so they had less experience. Maybe it was a stressful experience to be on set like that. Um, but I think that their characters could have, they could have given Travis and they could have given Hoshi a bit more. Um, So I understand why for Linda Park it was a great thing, that mirror universe. Question: do you watch Star Trek physically, that is on DVD, Blu-ray, or on streaming? I do both, Alex. I do both. I do both because when I do my TNG rewatches, I usually just throw them up on Netflix. Um, I have to watch them on the streaming services for the new shows, with the Lower Decks and the Picards and what have you. But when I go back to the original series, um, I watch when I do my original series reviews, I have to like juggle between streaming and physical and what have you because I watch the original versions and the remastered versions. I don't know if this is controversial, but everyone looks so sexy still on the Enterprise cast. That's because they're younger than everyone else. I mean, everyone looks sexy in the Discovery cast too, I guess. Don't you think? Anyway, Lower Decks. Let's talk about the Lower Decks panel. Enterprise conclusion. It was a bit bittersweet because they were canceled so soon, and I think the show had great potential. Um, it will never be one of my favorite Star Trek shows, but that's by default because apparently they didn't have the time to get there. Um, Lower Decks. They had a Happy Star Trek Day bit where no one said Happy Star Trek Day to Jack Quaid. Hey, Jack Quaid, Happy Star Trek Day. All right, you're awesome. I love you in the boys, and I love you in Lower Decks. And you do have a weak body, but I'm fat, so it's fine. We can have we can have our unbecoming bodies together. It's fine. Um, they talked about their favorite moments so far. We got a few images, like a few behind the scenes kind of rough cuts of like how the animation was looking in that first episode. And Mike McMahon talked about the struggle of making this show in quarantine, which is insane. They're recording in their closets. Hopefully, they activate the right mics. They have their musicians record their own segments with the violins and then they send it all in, and then some absolutely crazy overwhelmed person has to work on assembling an orchestra of individual instruments, which is just crazy. It's insane that this show. I really do hope that the whole situation, the pandemic situation, will be resolved so that they can kind of deal. I saw your comment, Valerie. We'll circle back to that. I just want to finish this because I'm already gone over an hour. Um, yeah, I hope the pandemic will be over and season 2 will be easier for you guys to work on, or season 3, because you guys are going to continue on, I'm sure. But yeah, Noel Wells says that the world feels lived, and I absolutely agree. It is one of the only animated shows where it doesn't feel like an animated show. Sometimes you're watching it and you forget it's animated until something completely wacky or nonsensical happens. You feel like you're just watching another Star Trek live action show. And maybe that's just me. And I love how Tawny Newsom is this hyper Star Trek fan, and I love how the other cast members as well. Um, they're interested in seeing more Star Trek, and now that they've established their characters and that they've gotten used to the voices that they're doing for these characters live, well, during the panel, Mike McMahon said I can guys send you guys like a list of things to watch, and they were like, "Yo, we want to see that," and I really like that. I really like the investment that they have. You know what I mean? Like, it's great like that. I think it's a very professional thing to do. I think that even I mean, it's you don't have to watch all of Star Trek, of course. It shouldn't be a requirement, but to go back and watch iconic episodes or episodes that are very important, um, or that relate to your show, the show that you're working on some way, I think is a very professional thing to do. Okay, should I talk about the spoilers, or should we just leave the Lower Decks panel be? Because they gave us a little teaser trailer, which I watched. I don't do these things. I don't watch them, and I did watch it. And they also mentioned a spoiler. They spoiled one thing, and I don't like that. I feel like it takes away the surprise from it. But anyway, I'll leave it be. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Maybe some of you guys haven't even seen Lower Decks yet. We'll leave it at that. Lower Decks is fun, guys. Lower Decks is very divisive, though. Some people I know have like basically quit Star Trek. They're like, I can't watch this anymore because of Lower Decks. But I find it to be the best Star Trek show coming out currently. So let's not spoil anything. Let's not talk about anything. And hopefully in the weeks to come, we'll be able to put out another original series episode so you guys can have content that is unrelated to Lower Decks. And we finish with what they called the Picard / Next Generation panel. Which was Jonathan Frakes, Sir Patrick Stewart, and Will Wheaton presenting. We learned that Frakes will be well, we knew that Frakes was directing Discovery Season 3. He will also be directing Strange New World Season 1. Like, Frakes is very involved with all of this. Sir Patrick Stewart is working on his memoirs, which will be very interesting to a lot of fans. Patrick Stewart was talking about leading and how he was loving being the leader, number one on the call sheet. I can see that in him, and that harkens back to what I was just saying about like all of these actors that play these captains. I feel like they really like embody that, and yeah. They talked about directing each other. Yeah, it wasn't the most interesting of panel, I think. Because we didn't have so many stories or anecdotes about what happened either on Picard or the Next Generation. But it was heartwarming to see them kind of reunite, the three of them, and they have such respect for each other, like all of them, all three of them, and so yeah, Will Wheaton is all of us, you know. He grew up in Star Trek. He lived in Star Trek, and I know that a lot of people didn't really like Wesley Crusher, but Will Wheaton is us. He is the guy that loves Star Trek so much, believes in Star Trek, believes in the ideals and the philosophies of Star Trek, and but he's living the dream because it's his family. I learned something about Will Wheaton. I learned that he didn't really have his own biological family to care for him, but that the TNG cast did, and that was interesting. I didn't know that. It was kind of sad, and beautiful at the same time in regards to like how the TNG cast took him in. Poor Will, my boy Willie, um, Billy Whitten. Yeah, Robbie Robbie says I'm not gay and I find Connor Trinier attractive. Maybe I'm bisexual. Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe you are. Maybe you're not. Maybe Connor Trinier is just really sexy. I mean, maybe that's it. There are some people that are just sexy. You got to deal with it. Doesn't matter what sexual orientation. It doesn't matter. It's just some people are sexy. They got that vibe. They exude sexiness. No, Connor Trinier is a hot boy. Um, that's it. Oh my goodness. It took a bit over an hour, but we talked about everything. Well, I addressed all of my notes. Do you guys have anything to say about the Star Trek Day 2020 panel lineup? I didn't watch it live, as I mentioned earlier. I watched it through today and yesterday. It was fun. I think it was a success. I don't know if I really don't know if this was the first time anything like this has ever been tried. Um, but in any case, I think it was great. I think it was a great success, and I can't wait for them to do this again and again and again and again and again and again and again. It'll get longer and longer because there'll be so many shows to talk about. We'll eventually have to start just clumping shows together. We'll do the prequel shows together, do the sequel shows together. You know what I mean? Do the animated shows together. Yeah, there was no animated series panel, but I guess the animated series panel is kind of like an original series panel, and the original series panel barely even existed as it was. Um, Akiva Goldsman is pushing for a Strange New Worlds slash Lower Decks crossover, which would be a blend between animation and live action, and I cannot express how excited I am for that. Oh my goodness. I think they should try it with the short treks first. Everything far-fetched. I think that was a joke, Toddy. I'm not sure. See, this is the thing. Akiva Goldsman, you missed this. You came in later. I said Akiva Goldsman is a very interesting and intriguing person, and he looks very peculiar. I would like to meet him and sit down and talk to him. I don't think Akiva Goldsman was joking. The thing is, I would love to see a full-on musical, like a Star Trek musical. I want to see black and white Star Trek. You need to find the right director, and the right team to do that because it needs to be lit exceptionally well, and the camera angles need to be fucking impeccable. Um, but I would like to see these things. But I think short treks is the best outlet and format to start doing that. Give us a give us a black and white short treks. Give us a musical short treks. Give us a crossover, like a splashed animated and live action short treks, just to test the waters, just to see how good it can work and what have you. That's what I think could be fun. Um, and I think maybe not start off with Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks. I think maybe just give us a character goes into the holodeck, but he's playing like an animated program. So like if I were to go into The Simpsons show on the holodeck, then all of the characters will be animated and what have you. Have that kind of use that. Star Trek has enormous untapped potential. Yeah, it does. And short treks has room to expand beyond what it is. Short treks shouldn't just be the little brother to Discovery. It's more than that now because we've had, I would argue, an original series spinoff, like an original series short trek episode, and we've had a Picard one, and maybe the Pike ones are technically Strange New Worlds ones, but not Discovery. But anyway, I would love that. All right, guys. Um, that's it. I've said everything that I've had to say. I'm reading through my notes here. You can join me live again tonight, this evening, 6-ish, with Starfleet Boy over on the Starfleet Boy channel. We're going to be talking about Lower Decks, season 1, episode 6, and then my review will be coming out during the week. You can also watch my live from this morning because I've been live all day. Basically, I was live on PJ's channel, over on Boatwreck's channel this morning, talking about Lower Decks as well. Yeah, that's it. I'll be sleeping by that time. How dare you, sir? How dare you sleep around midnight? By the way, I'm 6 and no face today. Toddy, you're going to be the main attraction. Oh, there you go. There you go. I'm the main attraction. I ain't no Connor Trenier, but I can try and helm the show with my face, if you want me to. All right. Have you seen my recent video, Pauline? Have you? I talk about Putin. Oh no, you haven't. You're not caught up on your Star Trek Lower Decks, I think. Anyway, that's it, guys. I'm gonna leave you. Thank you so much for joining me. It was good fun. It was nice to talk about this. I won't be doing like these extensive trailer analyses anymore. It's too time consuming and essentially for nothing. I do this channel as much for myself as I do it for you guys. Like I do these reviews because I enjoy the idea of coming back to the review that I did in 2020 in like 2050, 30 years time, and think, oh, what did I think of said episode when it came out, Lower Decks? You know what I mean? I want to go back and be able to watch that. So it's as much for you as it is for me. Like a teaser trailer breakdown. What's the point of that? So this is much better, and I get you guys' interactions as well. So yeah. All right. As Starfleet Boy says, smash that like button. Um, don't forget to subscribe if you're not. Share with your friends. This will be on the YouTubes for your rewatch in however many hours it takes to upload. But you can always find it in the live streams um, playlist because it's already up there on the live streams playlist on the channel homepage. And yeah, remember that you guys can become patrons. Trickle Prize and I should be setting up some more merch. We've got a store. We can sell merch. There's a link, but we want to set up some better looking merch. Yeah. All right. Live long and prosper. Stay cool, guys. You're the best.